I simply burnt out on the competitive mindset and the large abstract paintings that I was doing. But it was the procedure more than anything else, because I began to feel that I was my own employee. I would do little sketches and try to make a breakthrough, get a great image. And then I would enlarge them, because enlarging them was what you did to be. It was, well, I like painting a large painting. It's fun, I have to admit that. So, but one day I had a little meditation after a yoga class. My first and only yoga class I went to, and had a 10-minute meditation, and during that 10 minutes I had a perfect image of myself as an art student. I remembered how much fun it was, how great the adventure of painting was. And then I realized in that instant that my procedure was just killing me. I hated it. I hated what I was doing. And it wasn't instantaneous, but within a year, I just kind of put away the oil paints altogether. And the only thing that I liked about art, the only procedure I enjoyed, was this minimal, utterly non-creative drawing with my beginning drawing class. I had devised a drawing class which was pretty tough, pretty damn tough. So where they would study the objects in front of them. My aim was to teach abstract art, but I didn't want to bother their 18-year-old minds with talking about abstract art. So we would draw objects, but pay as much attention to the spaces in between objects and the relationships that I was trying to teach them how to see. And to slow them down, slow the class down, I would sit and draw slower than they did, very patient, measuring everything, getting exactly right. And gradually I began to see the music in the architecture of the bottle and the ink there, and the quality in the spacing and the divisions of the rectangle. So I did the very careful drawings of still life at home, stuff lying around on the windowsills or whatever collects in various places. I would just sit and do that and submit to the discipline that I was imposing on my students. I submitted to it myself, but on a piece of watercolor paper. And ever since ever since teenage years, I had been doing watercolors. And as a relaxation to get out of the studio, I would go outdoors and do a watercolor. And so I would do a watercolor on top of this drawing. I would work quickly with watercolor, and watercolor likes to be handled quickly, because it's a very slow drawing with a lot of erasing and then quite a rapid application of color on it. And the color and it's very nice, because when you're working in layers with one layer over another, it's not like oil paint where you would end the color at an object and start another color. You can take the color right over the top, because if it's a green you're making and you're putting down a blue over here, you can just put the blue on top of what's going to be green and then add yellow to it. Essentially, I mean, that's kind of simplified, but that's, so you get a very interesting abstract shapes in front of me as I'm working. The important thing is I didn't invent them. They were just there. I was not responsible. I take no creative responsibility. What a relief. That was great. Anyway, in that relaxed state, I started having announced to close friends, not to the administration of the college, that I was giving up art, and announced to myself, more importantly, that I was giving up art. I started producing a lot more art. I was relaxed, you know. So the watercolors started piling up, you know, and some of them were pretty good. I am pulled still by abstract painting, and if you look around the studio, you'll see like all kinds of like shreds of ideas of how I'd like a painting to feel. Uh, and so these come out abstractly. So I try to put it together because I love working with the image. Because for one thing, there's the whole idea of being irresponsible. I, uh, I mean I'm playing with that, but in a way, I'm not in the position of saying they're trying to invent something that's brilliant. And I find like that business of, for me, inventing, you know, shapes or visual situation to put together, I begin to repeat myself too much. And the nice thing about nature is it comes up with these goofy ideas. I mean, they're not ideas, it's just something sitting on the table and the way the light hits it. But once you put it down, it becomes an idea, once you see it and turn it into two dimensions. Well, I never would have thought of that, you know, back in my abstract painting days. I was kind of doing, you were getting into sort of the same groove and repeating what sort of worked and everything. And so concentrating on process, it's much more fun to go discover things. You know, still, there is that idea sometimes. It's like right now, I'd like to do some dark paintings. I'd like to do some night paintings. But I don't have an image yet of exactly what I want. But I have a lot of little sketches. I don't I don't want to be pretentious about it, but it's Buddhist in feeling to sit and look at nothing, and you look at nothing long enough until the mind makes it significant.